What was my other one? Oh, that one better?
That's fine.
All right.
Welcome to Ever Changing Vibe, episode 89, the New Year special.
Woo woo! I had to bring you back for that. You guys know that voice. I don't even have to introduce the guest sitting across from me. Not even the guest. The one, the only, the booth babe.
We're back.
We're back. I really wanted to, you know what? Let me talk about first how I almost didn't want you to be on this episode. The only reason why I didn't want you to be on this episode is because a while back, and I think we even talked about it on the last time you were on the podcast, is you kind of were like, I'll do every 10 or so. I'm letting that kind of like fade out in the background. You're like, I'll do, every 10 episode, every like 10th episode or so. Like, in other words, what we kind of discussed was one every decade. Is it decade or decades only when you're talking about years?
I think.
That's a good start for me in the new year. This is what I have to bring to the table. Technically, it's not the new year date of recording this. But you really made your first appearance, I think, was episode 59. And then you were a big part of the 60s. And then I think 68, 70, whatever, or like 68 through 70, I think I was like running mostly solo. You finally made a return in 77, 78 range. And that's kind of when we talked about like, oh, you'll do one every 10. And then I was some point last week or the week before, I started to realize, one, I was freaking out about my backlog and not having the episodes going out. And I hated recording them on the Friday they're being released on Sunday, like 48 hours later. And I needed to do an episode, but I was lining things to do the Christmas special, which shout out to my parents, some of the greatest supporters that I have out there. Sometimes I wish I'm like, give me some adversity, like hate on this goal, hate on this mission. Tell me I can't do it. Like I give me something to like want to prove you guys wrong. But
that's my job.
And that is the biggest thing that you bring to this ever-changing vibe table, which I appreciate you for. Speaking of one of the things, just a little sidebar, the pre-show, which we got rid of. I got rid of a couple episodes ago, except for when I do guests, but that was inspired by you being direct about it. Like, why do you do that? I think is like literally the words you said that led to that
even
conversation.
like other podcasts I listen to, it's like, and I think I sent you a TikTok about this. It's like 45 minutes into a podcast. It's like, all right, guys, let's jump into the topics for today. Or let's jump into the show. It's like, I've been listening for almost an hour already. What do you mean?
Right. Which is why I did try to keep it in like that 10-minute range. And I was kind of I didn't like how, which it makes sense for the YouTube algorithm now that I understand it a little better. When they would take a clip from some point in the episode, like the funniest point in the episode, and they put it the first minute, like right at the start, and instead of doing a pre-show, it was that. But the pre-show idea was really spawned from YMH, where they have the opening clip. But for the first like 10 or so minutes, it's just Tom and Christina talking to each other. And then eventually they Tom's like, all right, you ready to see the first clip? And it's always something wild, but fun. So I didn't want to have you on because I realized around like episode 87, and I'm trying to schedule and plan everything out. And I almost was going to ask you like, hey, perfect. Like you haven't been on an episode in the 80s yet. Like, are you going to help me out? Like I need it. And holidays super busy. And then I like thought to myself right as I started telling you that, and I was like, wait, I'm not telling you. You're like, no, you're going to tell me. And I'm like, and then I was like, no, I'm not telling you. And you're like, I know what it is. And I was like, fuck. And she
forgot about that.
She did know exactly what it was. She was like, you realize I haven't been on any of the 80s. And I was like, yep, that's exactly what it was. And then I wanted to do all of it because I think at that point I already put out episode 86, and I was already planning 87 solo. I don't think I had it scheduled or like aligned just yet, but it was like in the works, getting my parents on for the Christmas special. And then I even up until literally this morning, because we were talking about it a little bit yesterday. Yesterday was Christmas Day. I was talking about it a little bit this morning, or thinking about it a little bit this morning when I was actually putting together the schedule of like, teacher on Christmas or winter break. I have a lot of time. I can get a lot of backlog and actually like give myself a little like podcast vacation for the month of January. Maybe 89, the New Year special, should be solo. Like it's supposed to be solo. And then the more I thought about it, I just, if I'm going to be doing that year in review, which the title of this episode has really been about my year with you.
True.
So I thought for this episode, because I don't know if I, on the podcast, talk about, I mean, I always talk about everything in my life, but I don't really align it, especially not in a conversation, and really like bleed out each point in each thing that's been brought to this show. But there's so much behind the scenes. Each week, the episode that you hear, like the content that I come up with, especially for the solos, like this is how I work, is I'm having thoughts, I'm having conversations with you, my former roommate, my dad, every like day, and I'm coming up with different things. I'm watching, Too Hot to Handle, I'm coming up with a whole revelation about relationships or something. I always have things that like make up the content for that episode, but there's things that I don't know how to discuss when it comes to like motivation or reasons why some of the artwork and the decor looks the way it looks. Even though I don't think you had a hand on the current setup behind me, but you did in a lot of ways. You did on the bracelets, which I'm showing the camera, and you might actually be seeing this. I'm not going to tease too much because I don't know. I still want to give myself the safety net, that excuse. But if you are watching this, the bracelets. But the Jess Tracy, that was because of you. A lot of the other artwork. A lot of, like, in a way, I think at the time it was like me trying to show you how artsy I am and showing you, which I truly am artsy or like enjoy the art. I'm not artistic. I'm artsy. Like I love all the different arts. I love paint. I love, canvas, or give me just clay.
Sure.
Yep. Sculptures, music.
Mm-hmm.
And because, can I say what state? You've said the state. All right. So the Rhode Island, the Providence scene is very artistic. I think one of the most artistic states in the country, which I don't know. I think it's in the top 10. I think that's pretty sufficient to say, coming from the smallest geographical place that we have. Mm-hmm. The Providence scene is like, you introduced me to it, and my love for Providence and Rhode Island really came out, and I really started to enjoy all that stuff, and it was really just my way of enjoying my time with you. So that is why we're titling this episode "My Year with You." I'm gonna get a little insider baseball for my listeners. We met on Bumble, the dating app. Was Bumble or is it? Yeah, it was Bumble because you messaged me first. And up until that point, I downloaded it literally right before winter vacation, because I think I did the same thing right before summer vacation in the previous year or whatever. Or like, the summer. Then I went to work, and then I was like, all right, I'm off. A lot of it too being at a junior, senior high school. I don't want to like, if a kid puts his age higher,
oh my gosh,
his or her age higher, it's like, holy crap. Like,
that's frightening to think about.
Right. So like, I never wanted that interaction, and like, I also didn't want to ever like have my phone like flipped up and like a notification pop up, have a student see it. So I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll give it a try. But I never was taking it seriously. Even back when I was like in college on the dating apps. And I think at that point I had been hearing more and more about successful like dating app relationships and marriages for that point. So I think after a long time, which I think I get into a little more on the next episode, I am recording these a little out of order. Little insider information for you guys. I think I talk about it a little bit on episode 90, one of my situationships, and how that taught me a lot about what I'm looking for, what I want in a partner, and what I don't want, and what I don't know how to avoid toxicity from. Like if this happens, like I can't control myself. And then from other relationships, I learned like really what I want and what I'm looking for. I learned what boundaries I need to set for myself, especially before I can, get back into the dating world. And then that was like a full year, almost 2 years. Actually, it was 2 years because it was all the pandemic. I was I realized like I'm not ready to date because I still don't know myself. I still don't know my boundaries. And especially early into the pandemic, I didn't have this podcast. I didn't have like my own hobby. And I'm the type, and I'm sure a lot of people connect to this, like the chameleon. So like I just would become whoever the person is. And that is very toxic, especially from me, because I'm doing those things so that you become closer to me, but I'm really pushing you away. And then I build resentment because I'm being pushed away. And then like now I turn toxic. Like I knew the whole train. So I had to learn how to get myself out. And I had to find something that, like, a girl could not determine. Like, if a girl starts to pull me away from that thing, then I end it with that girl. Mm-hmm. And I think once I found the podcast, and I had the podcast at that point for almost, like, 9 months. Like, it had been, like, since March or so. And now we were December and into the new year. I kind of was realizing in like November and December, like I want a girlfriend. I'm not the dating type. Mm-hmm. I don't want to. I did that, and that's one of the few things I look back on my life and kind of resent. Like I didn't like, not getting to know these people. I didn't like, not having a long relationship with someone. I wanted to really experience that. So I had to tell myself going into, like, I'm downloading these apps to actually give it a try. Mm-hmm. And then as I did that, I still wasn't really giving it a try. I like the little conversations back and forth, always was just like whatever, like little flirty back and forth, like commenting on one of her pictures or one of the bio things and having a conversation. Maybe I would bring up the idea of like going on a date with some of these girls, but I never was letting it come to fruition because I was always like, let me get the Snapchat and then like whatever, mm-hmm. like we'll talk and then that'll lead to, and it just wasn't working. So I had to identify first that like I need a new game plan because I do want to find a partner. I'm not trying to date anymore. I'm done dating, like not just dating apps. Like I'm done dating. I'm finding my person and I'm just building it until it's ready to be more than just, boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing. And I think I got to that point, but I was still like that first week of winter break, I'm still, going right back to like, let me just add you on Snapchat. Let me just get there, whatever. And then our conversation right away went into, so actually I don't think we messaged after winter break. I still had the apps.
I think so. I think it was like early.
We might have matched.
Yeah, maybe.
And then it was like first.
Yeah, I think it was like literally right after like the new year.
Yeah. It was the first week back at work.
I think so
too.
But
that Friday or something was a snow day.
Yeah.
And that's when the conversation started. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, what are you doing? And then I mentioned something about like, oh, I'm off because of the snow day. And then, oh, you're a teacher. Mm-hmm. Now we're going back and forth, teacher.
Yep.
I want to download the app just to like screenshot it and save it for the rest of my life.
I was just thinking that.
We can, but I'm going to watch you do it step by step.
No, I'm going to be sneaky.
No. I'm very, you're not going to just download it and be like, hey, by the way, no, I'm going to watch every step of the way.
Oh, my God.
I want to see the whole thing download, and then I want to see you delete it. No, I'm not actually that crazy. Well, I am a little bit that crazy, but, like, not that crazy. And then, so we're going back and forth about teachers and blah, blah, blah. And at one point, you said something like, well, enough about blah, blah, blah. And then just asked me.
I just said enough about teaching because, like, as a teacher on a dating app, that is all anyone ever asks you about or wants to talk to you about. Like, at least in my, like, experience at the time, like, every single guy that I was talking to on a dating app was like, oh, you're a teacher. Like, and you get, like, the typical things of, like, oh, I don't know how you do it. You must be an angel. Yeah. Or like, oh, you're a hot teacher. I would want, like, whatever.
That was even happening to me.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, fuck this teacher talk. Yeah. Like, so, and I, like, as a fellow teacher, I figured you would understand. So I was like, enough about teaching. Tell me something else.
Yes. That's literally what you said. And I, not only did I, like, jump right on that conversation because I get it. Like, yes, I lived through that. I know what you're talking about. But also, I think it gave me the idea that, like, hey, I think this girl kind of likes me. It's not just, like, a random match. And it, like, already made that, like, you stand out different from all these other people. That's, yeah, it is. But it also gave me the idea, like, oh, if she can kind of, like, you know, jumpstart a different conversation just randomly, I can do that too. Mm-hmm. So then I messaged you back, like, or whatever. I said something to reply. And I was like, well, enough, or I didn't even say enough about that. I was like, so date or something. Like, some way I just, like, brought up the idea of, like, so when are we going to see each other?
Yeah.
And we did.
We did.
We went on a
I
very
really didn't want to, but I did.
Yeah, I know, because, and I didn't, now that I know you, oh, holy fuck, you really did like me. From just like, texting conversations.
Why?
Because, well, now I know you.
So now I know you know, like, what really was happening in my brain.
Not only how far of a drive that was.
I was so mad.
But to go somewhere where you don't know.
Exactly. So, okay, so here's the context for the listeners. So, he, like, proposes a date. So, I'm saying, like, okay, where should we go? And he proposes, like, somewhere close to where he lives. And at that point, that was, like, 45 minutes for me, 50 minutes for me. And I was like, how about somewhere maybe in the middle? And then you said...
I said, like, Fall River, right on that like, line.
Yeah. Or some, yeah. And then you were like, let me look into it. And then it comes to, like...
I didn't.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You were like, I'll try to figure something out for, like, more in the middle.
Looking into it was, like, texting Derek, like, what are the bars in New Bedford?
But I didn't want to go there.
I thought that was equidistant. That's why you like that.
And you still think it's equidistant, and it's not.
I know it is a little further than the middle, but I know Fall River is, like, right on the
at least it's, like, right off the bridge and not, like, 20 extra minutes.
Right. I could have looked into, like, Seekonk or some of those other, like, areas.
Regardless, so then we, like, never locked anything down, and it's, like, literally, like, the day before.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so where are we going? And he sends me this place in New Bedford when he told me he was going to look at something in the middle, and then he literally didn't and just gave me the place that was 5 minutes from his place and 50 minutes from me. And so I'm, like, begrudgingly driving to the middle of nowhere, like, not the middle of nowhere, but somewhere I have no idea, which I don't feel comfortable with. I don't like driving at night. I don't like driving in places that I don't know.
Especially in hindsight.
Especially to meet a stranger.
Especially in hindsight, I realized, like, how much I was asking for. But part of why I, like, wanted that spot, like, close to me was to see how interested you actually were. Like, were you actually willing to come see me? Because, like I said, up until that point, I was, people weren't serious. Anytime a date would get proposed or whatever, it wouldn't come to fruition. So I'm like, well, let me, throw an arrow in the dark and see how much, she's willing to do, because, like, I'm not willing to go super far myself. I'm not, like, I was at a point where it's like, I'm ready to start dating, but I'm not, like, I have my time. I'm like, and this is what I was thinking at the time. Like, I know what I want. Like, I don't care that much about going on this date. Like, at the point, I was like, I could have this same type of conversation with any of these other girls. Like, it was my mindset. So I was like, what makes you special? Well, you've already stood out to me. So, like, let me see how far she'll go, literally. Which, again, I'm not saying that was justified or correct or the nice thing to do. but it gets better, like leading up to that.
So then I'm driving there. I'm driving all the way there. No fucking idea where I'm going. I'm driving. And then he calls me. And he's like, hey, I'm here. I think I'm going to go inside. I'm like, can you just wait for me? Like, I'm going to be there in literally 3 minutes. Can you wait and, like, walk me in? So, again, I'm, like, so pissed off at you. And I'm like, what the fuck am I getting myself into? Like, he's making me drive all the way here. He's not even going to wait for me to, he knows that I don't know where I am. He's not going to wait for me to, like, walk me in. I have to park at a YMCA across the street because it's downtown.
Yeah.
Like, I literally have no idea where I'm going. And I'm going to meet a stranger. And now you say, oh, yeah, I'm going to head in.
And I think that, again, very similar to, like, picking that place was, like, kind of like a power move. Like, you know what? Plus, I knew that area, and I wouldn't. I mean, you still go.
Yeah, I mean, I go there like literally every day now, but at the time, I had no idea.
And at the time, I also didn't give it that consideration. Like, I thought everybody knows, you know, New Bedford area. Like, everybody's around. Like, everybody went to UMass Dartmouth and knows the bars downtown. It's fine. Like, so when and also, like, I thought it was like a gentlemanly thing to do to, like, get the table, and then, like, and I was already picturing, like, seeing you and, like, waving, like, hi, and then, like, greeting you at the table, but I wasn't considering a lot of those other things, which I'm still learning how to be in a relationship.
Because for me, all of it was like safety. Like, I'm scared. I don't know where I am. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know this person.
And also, I didn't realize it at the time, but when I called you and you reacted like you were mad at me, I'm like, this person doesn't even know me. The fact that she's already getting mad at me, like, not snappy, like, and not like, I know you've been listening to that Meghan Markle podcast. So when I say, like, not like bitchy, not in the way that bitch is used against girls often, but I was literally like, wow, she has her own boundaries. She has her own personality. And I didn't realize it in the moment, but I think that was something that I was like, oh, I like this one. This one's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
So
then we got there and it was good.
So yeah, so then we walked across, and I mean, immediately I'm just like physical contact, like walking across the street, just my hand on your back, just like doing.
I was like surprised that I liked that, because at first I was like, what is this guy doing? Like, why are you already touching me? But then I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. Because that to me made me feel safe, like, right away. Where, I mean, if it was somebody else, it might have felt like very unsafe, but I mean, like, I felt safe right away when we were like crossing the street, because again, I didn't know where I was, and cobblestone streets are fucking dicey with those heeled boots that I was wearing.
Yeah. And also, like, I mean, besides your whatever amount of, you know, research you did.
Yeah, I mean, I really still didn't know much about you.
If you knew I had like a sister, or what my relationship was like with my mother, kind of thing. No. But I mean, I'm not thinking of those other things. I am thinking, like, I know myself, and I'm very, like, I'll be protective of a girl. Yeah. Like, I care for, like, the people. Like, I understand the safety. And I think when you were snappy at me, I wasn't, like, reacting. Like, my reaction wasn't, oh, wow, this bitch yelling at me already. Like, I was like, oh, my gosh, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, of course I got to, like, you know, be protective. And I think because going into the date, I mean, I haven't been on a lot of, like, first dates like that, especially, like, a setup, especially one from, you know, a dating app that is, like, you know, first time seeing this person. But I knew all the, like, listening to, like, a Call Her Daddy or any type of, like, a YouTube channel telling you how to, like, you know, meet a girl, or, like, how to do a first date. It's like they always tell you the physical contact, the eye contact, and I, like, was psyching myself up from the moment I started getting ready, putting on cologne. I'm still, like, I'm staring at myself in the mirror, like, practicing making eye contact and sustaining eye contact, even when it gets awkward.
Yeah.
And so I was really trying to focus on doing all the right things, and always keeping $100 bill just to, like, be flashy. I know. I'm not saying I'm actually cool. I'm saying what I thought was cool, what I thought you're supposed to do.
I don't think I noticed that.
Great. Wearing my nice watch, I don't know, just, like, picking out a good outfit.
Yeah, I liked your outfit.
Which I forget specifically what I wore.
You wore
was it the green
black
sweater?
sweatshirt The Love You Bye sweatshirt.
Shout out Lizzie Fournier.
Yeah.
The Love You Bye sweatshirt.
And some kind of hat. I can't remember what hat it was.
I think it was the Calvin Klein green, like army green.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe?
Because that doesn't really go. I don't think I would like that. I can't remember if it was like a hat. I can't remember if it was like a beanie or if it was like a
I don't think I would have worn a baseball hat that time of year. Because it was like mid-January.
Yeah.
So then we got like to the bar, whatever, sat down. And I was like so focused on like doing all the right date things that I didn't even think about like, oh, what am I going to talk about? Like I knew one of the things that I knew going into the day was like, make sure you ask her a lot of questions, ask her about herself, let her talk about herself, knowing how I am.
Right.
And
true. That's kind of big for you.
And just like how I realized later on how crazy it was for you to go all the way 50 minutes to a place you don't know to see a stranger. I think you didn't realize how talkative, because for the first 3 days I was pretty quiet.
You weren't as talkative as you get now, but
and I thought I did a really good job not talking over you or interrupting. Yeah. I was very. It was actual back and forth.
Right.
Not like this episode.
Yeah. Can you go back to that? Where did he go?
Again, I put a lot of time and effort into that. Takes a lot of mental energy to sustain for more than an hour. So then we get to the thing, and I must have told you this at some point, but like before I left on that date, again, I'm thinking like this is she's not gonna be the one.
Right.
Like, this is the first date that I have since having the revelation, like, I am a person who needs to be with someone. And I was like, I'm going to go on 2 or 3 dates or dates with like 2 or 3 different girls, kind of get a feel for like the multiple personalities, know who I want to be with, and then start to make things more serious and kind of like do my own version of The Bachelor. So like I like pick my own, but not give roses, or like just like I didn't want to jump into, because that was another thing, just like the chameleon that made me very toxic is, and I knew especially after like not being in a relationship, like literally shutting myself off from the idea of relationships for like 2 years, from the idea of like I wasn't even going on dates or like, not to be crass, and I hate mentioning this around you, but like, I think I had only slept with one person in 2 years. So like, and it was like a one night stand. It was like meaningless. And, that's why I was like, I want to like really know this person before I commit to someone. And I want to get to know a couple different people, because I just fall for the first thing. Yeah. Of course that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So before I left, I told my roommate at the time, my best friend, like, hey, can you give me a call at like 8:45, 9 p.m. just so I can like pick it up and be like, have an out. And I think we met for 7:30. I think it was, or 7 or 7:30.
I don't remember. So
I think it was, I'm almost certain it was 7, and I gave you like a 2-hour window to impress me or not.
Jesus.
I know, I'm a fucking shithead, but it worked. So who's in the wrong? No. So I told him, I'm like, just give me a call at like 9. I went to this date. I don't know how quickly, but so quickly, you went from like someone I'm like, all right, we could see where this goes, to like, dude, this is a fun person. And there were a couple times during the date, because, I mean, besides walking with my hand on your back and, like, a little bit of physical contact and eye contact, like, there was flirtation there.
Yeah.
But I was like...
But it was literally just, like, a genuine back and forth, like,
it was
fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
And, like, it was just, like, hanging out.
Yeah.
And I was literally at the point where I was like, I'm not looking forward to the kiss at the end of the day. If there isn't one, whatever, like... I would still go hang out with this person again.
Right.
I would bring this person into like my friend groups and like, but like, if this is a new friend of mine, like cool, like that. I could see like we were talking about Nintendo and Zoo Tycoon and like, oh, and then the idea, I forgot, I slipped and was like, oh yeah, I have a podcast. And you're like, I know. I'm like, what? And you didn't tell me until like April why you knew, But you're like, yeah, I know. I saw it on like Instagram, and
No, I told you how I knew, but I didn't tell you like the scare that I had when I found out.
Because she had liked one of my posts like the night before.
So I was like stalking him the night before our date at like literally like 1 o'clock in the morning.
We only exchanged phone numbers, mind you. So you didn't even have my Snapchat. But the phone with Snapchat tells you what my user name is.
Yes, that's how I found. Okay,
and suggested.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, so I had found his Snap username through his phone number because I didn't know your last name, so I didn't know how to search you.
Right.
And your Snap had your last name or like the beginning of your last name or something, so I knew how to search you on Instagram. So then I searched you on Instagram through that. I didn't add you on Snap. I just like was using it for information.
Right.
And then I searched you on Instagram and I found your page, but it was private.
Personal. Yeah, my
personal page, but it was private. But you had a link in your bio that said, check out my podcast, Ever Changing Vibe, blah, blah, blah. And you had a link. Yeah. So then I find the links to your podcast and your podcast page. And so then I'm on your podcast Instagram.
I'm trying to think like,
because I also like, I only knew like the 6 pictures of you from Bumble. Like I also was just like, wanted to see more pictures of you and like things like that.
Wait, sidebar, and I want to get back to that, but were you on like Tinder and Hinge as well at the time?
I was on Hinge, yeah.
Because I did think that was kind of funny because usually when I find someone on Bumble,
you see them.
You
on
also
the other
see
apps,
them on the other apps and whatever. But I don't remember.
No.
I only could find you on Bumble.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. So.
But yeah, so I found his podcast page. So I was scrolling through to like see more pictures of him and like try to catch like. You had like some videos, so I was trying to catch like sound bites to see if you were like fucking crazy or what.
Well, yes.
Which you are, but
I hide it.
But I had accidentally, in my bed at 1:30 in the morning when I was stalking you in your podcast page, I had liked one of your pictures, and I had a freaking heart attack.
That was literally the night before.
It was the night before. I was like, he's gonna wake up, he's gonna see this. That I'm stalking him at 1 o'clock in the morning the night before a date, and now he's not gonna go out with me. Like, this is awful. So I think
I would have been like, wait, was that? But
I must have unliked it, and you didn't somehow miraculously you didn't get any notification, and I was in the clear.
I must have got the notification, but my podcast page, because I'm putting the hashtags, I would always see random accounts that like it, and
you don't really look that thoroughly usually,
right? Like. If I see the icon that, like, if I see Eli or Spawncast likes my post or Jared likes my post, I'm like, oh, that Jared likes it. And then
but you get a lot of random spam pages of random chicks who like your stuff.
That too, yeah. Oh, nice news, dude. Yeah. So you had liked the post, but you didn't tell me that until like 3 months.
Oh my god, because I was mortified.
Relationship. I don't even know how I finally found out.
I don't know either.
I think it was like when I was finally gonna get you to do when we recorded. It was around the time when we recorded the birthday special with my parents that you just sat on the mic. I think you said like 9 words, or that's what I the number that I always would say. You said 9 words, but you might have said 2. You might have said 25. So that was that point. So then I was like, oh shit, I said I have a podcast. I know it's fucking weird, but and I like try to be like somewhat humble, but also like. I knew the trope of like white guy with a podcast. I already knew that whole idea, and I was like, I take it a little more seriously, and I think I try to like explain like, how I get to connect with content creators and artists, and these are the people that I like to. Oh, you know why it got brought up? Was because I was wearing Lizzie's shirt. Yeah. And she had recently been on. I recently got that sweatshirt. And you're like, yeah, I already know, and you explain how you found it. You didn't. Tell me that
the whole story, no, but I said that it was in your Instagram bio. And then
it was
you were like
Snapchat, Instagram.
But then you were so upset with yourself. Yeah,
I deleted it like when I got home from that date.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember like literally getting lost in the time.
Yeah. I just remember talking to you about things that I normally only talk to like my sisters about or like my closest friends about like stupid shit like
that, and that's what I mean by like I had thoughts throughout the date, like, oh, this is someone I could really be friends with.
Yeah.
Which is what, like, further established after, a couple of dates that, like, okay, so if this is someone I like hanging out with, I go do fun things with, have fun conversations with, have an enjoyable time. And it's not just like, when I say fun conversations, I don't mean we're just like laughing and enjoying our conversations. Like there were times where you challenged me or questioned or like, you know, kind of like made fun of me a little, like, you don't remember Zoom? Zoom was the show with the peanut butter and jelly. Like, and it was just like so fun. And I think, I mean, I like any guy who's single is like, you know, I want to find a young, hot little thing. I think I was realizing in that moment on that first date, like, I would not want to be with someone like the fact that we were at the same exact age.
Right.
We had a very similar, like, nostalgic trajectory.
Yes.
Like, I mean, your Disney went a
like,
little longer
that's huge for me. Like, nostalgia is like so big for me.
I think it is for most people, but not, I don't think the average person makes it a part of their current like their present life as much as you and I you know do.
Yeah.
Like look at all the Pokemon shit behind me. Like I will play Pokemon from time to time, not as much as my brother. But I do still like, you know, follow Yu-Gi-Oh accounts, all that stuff. And I love all those. The reason why I love Call of Duty is because like I remember playing Call of Duty in middle school. Like I remember falling in love with that way back when. So, you know, just the idea, like, oh, I really, really enjoy this person. I enjoy this vibe. And then, you know, I walk you out to your car. I don't even know, like, leading up to the kiss, because we did kiss on our first date.
I know.
Surprise, surprise. Leading up to that first kiss, I was literally at the point, like, I don't care if we kiss or don't kiss or whatever. Like, I mean, you're a very attractive person, but like this was such a fun little day, like a couple hours. Like I said, I had my roommate calling me at like 9, so I had an out. We left the bar at like 11, and it's a small little like a cocktail bar. It's not like we were hanging out dancing and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
we were like tucked away in the corner for a long time.
For just 2.5 hours, like or 3.5 hours, just like back and forth conversation, talk about ice skating and like, nah, I've never done it. Oh, you did? You used to like, what is it called? Not cheer. It's like, what is the ice?
I was on the Ice Girls.
Ice Girls. Yeah. And then WWE got brought up and you said how your dad has experience with like, you were, now I know your dad, but like, he's worked with those amateur rings and stuff. He's done some stuff. I know someone who's gone pro or whatever, like, so you were vague about, like, he knows people that have wrestled. He has, I think you did tell me, like, he has John Cena's dad's number or something like that. Like, like some cool stuff. And I'm like, whoa. And then Disney and Nickelodeon and Zoo Tycoon and all this other Nintendogs and whatever else. And then you were talking about Mary-Kate and Ashley. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I thought that was a fever dream. Those like, the one that you love, the mall one. But like, if you know, like my listeners, if you know Mary-Kate and Ashley had this like, what do you call that show? They
were like shorts.
Like shorts, yeah. Like 20-minute episodes.
The sleepover party shorts. Like, short little episodes. And they were all about sleepover parties.
They would just go do adventures and stuff at like different places. So and that used to be for like me growing up. Even like my cousin living across the street, I don't even know if they had it. Like that was something every Friday we'd stop at this place called 555, which is like a movie rental place, and you get 5 movies for 5 days and $5.
Wow.
Except for like new releases or certain ones. And so we'd always pick out 1 or 2 Mary-Kate and Ashley's. And
I love that.
But like when I would tell people, like I don't think everybody knew about Mary-Kate and Ashley, especially those. So then, whatever. That was like a little side road that we're still talking about the first.
I know we're not going to get through a year if we can't even get through one night.
No, it's okay. This is the making of.
Yes.
I
remember getting home from the date that night and going up to my sister and being like, I talked about brats on the date. I can't believe I did that. She was like, what the fuck?
I remember getting in and like hoping that my roommate was like asleep because I was so giddy and smiley, and I'm like, and up until that point, anytime I was like meeting a new girl or like all the way back to like high school, like I would never tell people about the relationship until it was real, like that. And it got so amplified. It like became like almost like an OCD thing after my situationship, where like I don't share who I'm seeing until like we're in a like.
Yeah.
So I knew he would like. He was gonna ask me at some point, but I was like, I have too much on my face. I don't want to share it. I just want to enjoy this moment and go to bed and like just look at my ceiling because I can't fall asleep because I loved today and like and just think about it to myself. And so like I was hoping that he would be asleep, but so I'm walking you out to the car, and again, this could be my new best friend. This could be someone like I just hang out with. Maybe it does develop into something. I don't really know. And I don't know how we kind of like got close. I think it was just like a hug goodbye that like we just had a signal. There was a signal.
Yeah.
And
it was really cold too, so
holy shit. No word of a lie. We kiss, like we start like just a smooch, turned into a little makeout, whatever. As soon as the smooch started to develop into more than a smooch, I was like thinking about how much I kept looking at your lips throughout that date and how much I love your lips, which I'm going to get to something later. I'm foreshadowing a little bit. And how much I loved your lips. And then I literally had the thought, this is the best kisser I've ever kissed. This is the best kiss. I'm like, I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to know I'm a shitty kisser. I'm like, she's going to think I've never kissed anybody besides a pillow. Like,
oh my God.
Like I literally was like super worried. So now, and I'm driving home after just a kiss. And I like to think, I'm a pretty masculine man. I'm driving home with a fucking rock hard boner, thinking about Zoo Tycoon and whatever. I'm like, dude, this girl gets me hard as shit and is like such a cool vibe. I was like, oh man, I freaked out a little bit and I know you hate this part of the story, but like the next weekend, I like needed to go on another quick little random date.
Wasn't it literally the next day?
No, it was literally, so that was like a Sunday and we had the Monday off. You sent me pick your poison.
Yeah.
That's when I knew. I knew when you sent me the pick your poison about like, you sent me 2 ice skating rinks.
Yep.
And you said pick your poison. And like, we hadn't talked the rest of the day on the Monday. Mm-hmm. And like, that's what all like, oh, this girl's fucking a fucking firecracker. I love this
I
one.
had to because I literally thought, like, because you hadn't reached out to me, like, at all after that.
I
was
sent you
like,
a picture of Zoo Tycoon, like, at some point.
Yeah. That was it. And I was like, okay. Like, that was all for nothing because he's not asking me back out again or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I had to be like, fuck it. I'm going to send him 2 different ice skating rinks and tell him to pick which one he wants to go to because we're setting up this next day.
So now twice, you were the one who made the first move.
Yeah.
First on the dating app. You're like, enough about teaching. Now you did the pick your poison. I'm like, okay. But and part of why I wasn't like texting you back right away or the next day, it was like, what's the rule? Like 3 days, don't talk to them. I thought like even me sending you the Zoo Tycoon picture was like, oh, she's going to like think I'm coming on too strong. And I was like, so I was really in my head. I was like, I need to go on a date. Cause like, she can't be the one. She was the first one I went on. Like I'm just falling for her because she's the first one who gave me attention. Mm-hmm. That was that one. I told my roommate the same thing. Like, but I even said earlier, I think we were planning to go out around the same time, like 7:30. And I told my roommate, like, call me at 8:30. No, I did say call me at 9. But I was home from the date at 8:30.
Wow.
And because it was so boring, but also, I mean, I was partly thinking about you, and I'm like, dude, screw, like, this.
It doesn't help that you went to the same fucking place, you fuck.
She didn't know. You wouldn't have known, but I can't keep a fucking secret. And then, I think I know why you said it was the next day, because the next day after that day was on a Friday. Saturday was when we went ice skating. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was like, I was falling so fast, so hard for you.
Yeah. You really fell.
Third
on
date.
The ice skating rink.
Third date. I never fell.
No, you never fell, but you were so close to it so many times.
The whole time I was, you can't see that. Imagine Kramer opening up the door, like the whole time.
You were so bad.
It was so hilarious, and it was like weird that I never fell. I was like, let me just fall, but I was like trying to catch myself.
You just looked like a giant child out there.
So funny, and again, like I was all awkward and weird about it, but like I was okay. I was like comfortable. I was like,
yeah.
And I think part of it too was like, this person's gonna get to know me, and if they don't like me, then I was trying to like give you reasons to like, all right, this guy's kind of weird, this is like too much or whatever, because I like didn't want to believe that I like had so much feeling so quickly, and I like just kept telling myself it's because I haven't been dating, so it's just the idea that I'm dating, not the person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, spoiler alert, it was the person. So then on the third date, we don't have to get too detailed into the third date.
Well, in between the second and third date was when he started calling me. Isn't that true?
Yes.
That for me, like, was really solidifying because I never used to like talking on the phone before I started dating you. Like, I hated talking on the phone, whatever. And then you were calling me, and it was like my favorite part of the day.
I never did that. But going into the relationship, like I said, I cut myself off from dating for 2 years until I figured out myself. And one of the things that I did find in myself is like, I value phone calls very much. I know I'm not great at texting, whether it's like the timing it takes me to text back. And also like, I don't know how to read a conversation. Like I like the tone of someone's voice. It gives me more information. I mean, I do want to get to a point where we FaceTime, which we did pretty quickly. But I knew early on I needed to establish calling, and if you weren't going to give me that connection early on, then I wasn't going to continue on with that like pursue you, because I was like, this is a part that is going to be important to the relationship. This is something I want in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because like at that point I called my dad every single day. I would call my roommate like every day, if not every other day, like just checking in, even though I'm driving home and gonna see him in 20 minutes. Like I still call him. I always talk to people. I've been doing that most of my, like since I've had a car. I'm always calling people and talking to people. Which is why I hate morning commutes, because I can't talk, like everyone's asleep and I hate calling people. So I like needed to establish that. But before, what did I get you on the second date? So I picked her up from where she was living at the time, and then we went to that little rink in Providence, like right where PVD Fest is. Mm-hmm. What's the big building that like?
Oh, the Superman building.
Yeah, someone had a drone picture the first time we went to the flea market from like above the Superman building, and it stuck out to me so quickly. Anyways, so I pick her up, we find parking, and I was like, before we go,
he gave me a gift, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what, you're already getting me a gift? This is our second date. So he gives me a gift, and they open it, and it's a water bottle, like a smart
dollar
water.
store,
yeah.
Not even a smart water, like a dollar store, like knockoff brand, like a cheap little water bottle.
Because prior to that date, we'd been like talking back and forth, talking on the phone about how at school, I like don't drink water throughout the day, like as much as you, because you were drinking.
We were talking about
water
it on the first date.
Yeah.
Because I kept going to the bathroom. Because
that was your excuse to go get up and pee.
Yeah, like I drink a lot of water, and you're like, I don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
So I like made a point of it, like I'm gonna get you this. Were we already doing phone calls before the second date? No way.
Maybe not.
But
between second and third, yeah.
But kind of aligning with like a nice little nostalgic moment. We just finished watching the newest season of Too Hot to Handle. Mm-hmm. Knowing I needed to establish phone calls early into this relationship, or whatever this relationship was going to turn into, I needed a reason to call. And one of our other conversations on top of Zoo Tycoon and Nickelodeon and WWE and everything else was our love for reality shows. And I think we both were talking about how because that's when that third season of Too Hot to Handle came out. So it was like December of that previous year. So we had both recently watched it, or I hadn't finished watching it.
Yep. You were still watching it. Yeah.
So I was like, I got to start catching up. So the first time I called you was I think it was like the Monday after our, ice skating date. Mm-hmm. And I literally just called her like, because you were saying how much you could do a British accent, but like I'd never heard it.
Yeah.
And so I call you and I was like, I immediately just started embarrassing myself. And I literally did it in the way that I love doing things, like just make it as awkward as possible. And if that person's still around, if it's still working, like it wasn't as bad as you thought. Like,
right.
like make it as hard as possible. And if you could survive that, then when you figure out how to make it easier, it'll be easier. So I was like, let me just call. I don't know what I'm going to say, but like, at least I can say, I just finished this episode. But like, who do you think, or who did you like, blah, blah, blah. And just to like give a conversation. It was like quick. It was like 15 minutes. And it was I heard you giggle like once or twice. I was like, fuck yeah. And then I think I called you like every night that week.
Yep. Because your thing was like we would talk to each other after school, and you'd like let me vent about my day at school.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I was coming as, point of view of as a teacher.
Right.
And I even told you, like, I get it out when I talk to my dad, and I know as a teacher, you can't just talk to anybody. You need to talk to someone who knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. And that was just like super helpful, because I was living with people who didn't get it. Like, I didn't necessarily have anyone to vent to like that. So
yeah, you were living with your sister at the time. And not only are they not a teacher, they were still in college.
Right.
So like they don't know full-time job experience in the same way. So like,
yeah,
I think you can rant to other people with office experience in a way, but you can rant to,
Teaching
were able
is
to
just
rant.
a
They just
different
like,
beast.
they just don't understand. They can't connect with you through that rant.
Right. So I remember, the phone calls were going really well. And I remember saying to my sister, like, this is bad. I was like, whenever I would get off the phone with you, I'd be like, what is happening right now?
This is what's happening.
Yeah. It was a whirlwind, because it was all just happening so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like serious, real, deep, crazy feelings were happening so quickly. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. So then on the third date, which I know we have our little bit of contention, because we were supposed to do a brunch, and I just...
Oh, God. So again...
I was hungover.
Pissing me off.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to do a brunch. He was like, yeah, maybe like 10, 11. So I get up at like 8 o'clock to shower, blow dry my hair, curl my hair. Yes.
Like
do
first
my
day of school
makeup,
vibes, you can't sleep.
pick out my outfit, like all the things. And so I'm ready by like 9 o'clock, 9:30. Like my hair is all blown out. Like my makeup looks really good. I picked out this really cute outfit.
Yeah, you did.
Then I don't hear from you. And then you're like, oh.
I think I woke up at like 10:30, 10:45.
I got a shovel. Oh, now I got to take a nap. What about like 5 o'clock? And I'm like, oh my God. So I like peel off all my clothes, put on my sweats, and I'm like sitting around waiting for you.
It was definitely a little earlier. I think it was like 4 o'clock.
I don't know, but
3,
it was way
I
later
think I left
than
around 3.
It was way later than 10.
Yeah. Which I didn't even realize. Like, again, and this has been a huge part of most of this year, is like, I've never been in a long-term relationship. The longest term before was in high school. I dated one girl for 9 months, but I mean, it's high school. Like, and I went to college while she was still in high school, and like, we never really saw each other except for like the weekends. And so the amount of time I was already spending with you, or like,
talking
and hanging out, like I wasn't even doing that with my, 6 months into the last relationship. So I know I had a lot to learn about how to be a boyfriend, like how to actually like I know how to be supportive. I know how to, like, I thought I was very supportive because, you were doing your bar class around that time. And like, there was a lot of things that I was bringing value in that sense of like, but it was almost like the type of value that a friend can bring,
right? Not
the type of there for you that a boyfriend is. And a lot of times it was just out of my ignorance. So I really appreciate you, like, just understanding. And we had that conversation early on, like, hey, look, I'm not, whenever I do something that's like, asking you to drive 50 minutes, it's not because like, after the second date, it was like, it wasn't because I'm trying to play that power move anymore. I'm already into you. Like, I already like you. I just don't know what I'm doing when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, I mean, the common trope is like, does my ass look fat in this? Is like, I wouldn't know to not say, a little bit. Like, I would say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Leather pants.
Right.
Like, oh, does this look good? I don't really like leather pants. Like, stupid. Like, I needed to learn. Like, so unfortunately,
because then that made me spiral. I was like, I wore these on our second date. Did you not like them on my second date?
But no, it's literally just me. And I loved your outfit on the second date. I thought it was so cute. I mean, I was head over heels at that point already. Second date, crazy. But it was happening so fast, and like, and also I don't know how to do a relationship. On our third date, it was Cincinnati Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
We were at a sports bar.
I hadn't become quite the sports guy that I am today. In fact, I was 0% sports guy. We were at a huge sports bar. My back was to all the TVs. You were facing all the TVs. You were just watching, like, I mean, you were still engaging in the conversation. We were going back and forth, but, you know, I didn't care about the thing. You were actually like, oh, like, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, who am I? And it made me, like, even more drawn to you because I was like, no, if I don't want to date someone who only gives me attention. Like, I want you to have your own interests, your own hobbies. Like, and that's the way that I was saying, like, I'm supportive as a friend. I didn't know how to be supportive as a boyfriend. I don't know all those like unwritten rules, those norms that you do this for your girlfriend or your boyfriend because you're dating. Like, that's just what you do. And when I would find out about rules, my first thought is to like
break them.
Like, yeah, fuck society, like fuck norm. Like, I do it how I want to do it. Like, I hate when I'm told like this is a tradition. This is like, no, I'm gonna do it how I want to do it. And if she sticks around, she sticks around. Like, I was very fucking. I've learned a lot. And I think you've noticed if you've listened throughout, you know, my journey with Booth Babe. But like on that date, like probably an hour into that date, I finally had your attention and I go, so what are your intentions? Like a high school dad on prom night. What are your intentions with my daughter? Like, I was like, so what are your intentions? And I think I noticed that you were like kind of shocked and hesitant.
Yeah,
and
I
like,
got like super squirmy, I think.
And I realized it literally as I like said it, like, oh,
because you made the most like serious face, and I was like, oh fuck.
so I was like, let me open up about my intentions to loosen it, and if you know, then she can either say yeah, same, I agree, or like this also, or I'm not looking for that kind of thing. Like, I was like, oh, I realized if I just ask the question, it puts a lot of like fire under her feet, and that's not really fair. And I'm serious about this person. I want it to work. So
right, because like I wanted to make sure that that's what you were gonna say, because like I was too afraid to be like, yeah, like I'm all in. If you were gonna be like, well, I'm not. You know? Right.
And if by asking the question, I realized like that's an outcome that you have to at least anticipate or assume. And this is not, you know, the button cut videos or whatever. Like, so I think I said too, like, well, I'm looking for a relationship, but I went further. I was like, I'm looking for a relationship because I'm done with the dating. I'm looking legitimately for, you know, my future wife and the kids, and then I was like, not that like that's where this has to go, but I want to date for however long until I'm sure that that's the person that is my wife or whatever, and I'm already like, you know, ready to like be in that world. I'm ready to start dating one person, and I was like, I'm very committed to like where something can go, but I want to have that towards one person. I don't want to be going around. I don't want to be dating, and I don't want to be finding out who I want to be with. I want to just be with the one person. And then I kind of like pass it back to you, and yeah, you kind of reciprocated. And then I think the Bengals started their comeback and lost your
Then you lost me again.
And then we watched the rest of the game and then made out a bunch in the parking lot. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then short after our fourth date, you spent the night again. Mm-hmm. Or no.
Not again, for the first time.
No, you didn't even spend the night. Our fourth date, you just came to my
over
apartment.
And then I went back home.
Like after work or whatever. Yeah. And we're just hanging out. And I think like we fell asleep.
Yeah. No, I think I did end up spending the night.
No, you didn't.
Not that time?
That time you left at like 9:30 because you're like, all my stuff is still at the condo and I don't have time like
in the morning
to get up and go.
But one time
and
I
it was
did
supposed
do
to be
that.
ice. Yeah, I know. And it was supposed to be icy. That was the next day was supposed to be like
a storm. Yeah.
And then like literally like as you got home, your school canceled. My school had my school had like a 2-hour delay.
That's right.
So you said,
so then I came back the next morning. That's right.
Or the next afternoon or whatever.
Right.
And then that's the night you stayed over.
Yep.
And that's when we started dating.
Yeah. Official.
And then she's been such a huge part. I know we didn't really get to it. We're already at that hour mark. So I think it's time to kind of start getting to the wrap up anyways. But I think that I hadn't really been bringing to the show. But I think very quickly, my listeners, the audience, wouldn't hear who Booth Babe was or who the girl was. I think like at times someone would ask me about a girl. I think there were like Ivan had a question that I like was like, oh shit, and said something. But off air, I was breaking one of my rules so quickly about like, because even though like we were official, I still wasn't, I think only my roommate at the time knew.
Yeah.
My parents didn't know. None of my friends didn't know. But I was like, and I honestly was testing my OCD because I still wasn't ready to like admit that it was like, I really am feeling this person and I'm really like committed to this person. I wanted my OCD to like ruin the relationship. So, that was like right around the time I met Mark and Andrew and Lily. And so I started sharing like, yeah, I've been really seeing this girl. I think I was even talking to Jared one time. Like, yeah, I'm getting really serious. Like this girl's like got me. Like, I don't know. Like it feels weird. I don't think I was telling them that you were my girlfriend. Cause I was like, it was weird to
I
admit.
remember that you were like very weird about like girlfriend at the beginning.
I was okay. Like, no, like I'm not like doing it so that I can go,
Right. No, you just like
whatever.
the label itself was like scary, I think.
The label itself was scary, or I thought it was scary to like share people like people aren't going to get this. Someone I met off Bumble and dating after 3 weeks. Right. I like wasn't, and I also like wasn't ready to admit it to myself too. So I was like, how is someone else going to understand this? So I didn't want to share that with everybody, but I was like, no, like you and I, boyfriend, girlfriend, but there's a girl I'm seeing. It's a girl I'm dating. This girl, like, this girl's, captured my heart a little bit. I'm like, no, like, and I started sharing it more and more, and then I felt like you were just getting closer and closer to me, and at no point did I ever feel like, like you were pushed away. Like even when I wasn't doing those like, it's just what the boyfriend does kind of things, or like, I remember. Oh, one of the most significant ones. Like one of the nights I was at the studio. Can I say that what happened February vacation?
Yeah.
All right. So you got COVID like February vacation.
Yep. I did. It was so
which
sad.
is like 2 weeks into us being official, and I was literally at the point like, dude, I had COVID. I like, I don't care. Like, I'll come over. I'll kiss you. I'll like, whatever. I brought you
like,
soup.
No.
I brought you soup when I thought it was just strep throat.
Yeah, because I was diagnosed with strep first.
And I was like, I know this February vacation is going to be really hard because like we had talked about it so much, like all the things we're going to have time to do and like really get to know each other and everything. Oh, that was a bright flash. That distracted me. I asked her to take a candid with my Christmas gift. She got me a brand new like Polaroid camera, but it's like a different brand. It's Fujifilm, and it's like a vintage looking camera. It's so sick. Anyway, so you had COVID that week, but I was like, no, this is why we established such a good phone call system, and then we established such a great like FaceTiming schedule
and like virtual dates. We got really good at.
Yeah.
We were watching Imposters at that time.
I think was it that
I think we started it.
I think it was like towards the end of February.
I think we started it when I had COVID, yeah.
Because one of the first times, and this is when I said it to you, one of the first times I realized I didn't do the boyfriend thing was I just like was ignoring you all day. I was in my head.
Yeah.
I think the night before I said something or did something that I thought you were mad at me. And like, I was like, I don't know. I feel like it feels weird. And I went right into shut off, like a void.
Yep.
And you messaged me a couple times throughout the day, like, hey, hope everything's okay. And then you started to realize, like, I was purposely ignoring you. And you didn't, like, get mad at me or anything. You literally just said, hey, can you just give me a call? I just want to make sure everything's okay with you. Like, I want to make, I forget if I, like, went to bed, like, drunk or something the night before. And like, you wanted to make sure, like, I was alive. Like,
yeah.
And then we talked for, like, an hour. And you're like, no, like, I get you need, that's your style. Like, you need to shut off. But if that's ever going to happen, can you just give me a little heads up? Like, hey, it's not you. Because it wasn't anything specifically to do with you. I think there was a lot going on with the podcast at the time. There's other things in my life. And then also I'm like falling for this girl, like, and I didn't understand my feelings. And I think that's why I shut off to you specifically. And you literally just said,
and like being separated like that early on into the relationship too was really hard, I think.
Yeah. Especially for me. Cause like, again, I didn't want to admit from the first date that I'm falling for you. So, I was already like, oh, she's ready to let this go. And I'd been doing testing my OCD. So I was like, all right, this is that moment. And we just had that conversation and you're like, it's okay if you need your space or you need whatever. Like, I'm here when you want to talk to me, if you have time. And if you don't, and it's something with you, you don't have to talk to me. Like, that's okay. Go have your space. And you know, just, can you at least like once a day, just check in, just send me a text. You didn't even say, like, you have to say details. Just say, you said, send me a text saying you're alive. And I was like, wow. And that was like 5 minutes into the phone call when I finally like called you back and like, whatever. I was like, whatever. I got to do this. Like, you know, and then I think I was going to hang up like right after, but because that was your response and you were so open to the idea, like I started to share like, yeah, I don't know. I just shut off and it's something I do and I want to work on it and like you've helped me in so many other ways. And I wanted to make sure that it established. And then I just like my whole mood and perspective for the rest of that day shifted drastically. I got excited about the guests that I had coming on later. I got excited about doing some of the behind the scenes like content, like writing the summaries, doing the other stuff because of that phone call. And then I was like, it was because it was such an easy ask, like just send me one text that I was like, I know I am able to do more than just one text. I can give her a phone call. I can give her more than one text. I can give her, you know, kind of updates as long as I have time. And knowing that she understands, like, if I'm not replying, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I'm just caught up. I'm busy. And ADHD, I forgot. And then that's when we were talking about, like, hey, you got to help train me to be a boyfriend. And while you've been doing that, I think you've trained me to be a better person. And that's what I've been able to bring to Ever-Changing Vibe, to the platform, to the guests. You gave me the courage to go solo because when I, you know, was sort of relying on a lot of people and I was getting to that point very anxious, very like out of myself, that's when you were like, hey, I'll do a podcast with you. And then it gave me that like span of episode 59, or it might have been 58 to like 66. I just like, I didn't start getting the momentum until like episode 61. And you kept coming back to the studio for me and you kept me moving and pushing me through. And then once the ball was rolling, you're like, you got this. And you kind of said like, I don't, it's not my thing. This is your thing. Reminder, like this is your thing. And that's when I recorded, I think it was like episode 69, Reliance. I was like, no, I can't do this myself. And you gave me that idea, that knowledge that this is mine. I can do this. And you're there to catch me when I slip and catch me when I fall. And even though I needed you for the 80s, like that's just one of the things that you've brought to the show. One of the things that you've brought to my connections. You've improved who I am as a person over this past year by like helping me realize like so many things I didn't know I love. And
You're gonna make me cry.
And then I talked about it. I was sharing it to my parents and stuff. Like, a big one is the decorations. And when you're first moving in, the first like 3 weeks of you moving in, I was complaining a lot. Like, every day you're coming home with a whole new tote. Like, what the fuck? We don't have space for that. But, and then
yes, we do.
And I have learned to love. Like, I didn't know how much I like was just sleeping at that place until you've moved in. And now I feel like I have a home. And I feel like I have a person, and I feel like I can give that back to other people because I know how powerful and important it is to me. And yesterday was Christmas, and Christmas was always like the lazy day. Christmas Eve was our big family party day, and I've never I still have some things that I've still got to learn and get better at, like, especially the gift giving, and also the gift receiving. I have a weird face, and
no, you don't.
I
mean, you have a weird face, but not because of gift receiving.
And I love Christmas now. I never cared about Halloween, dude. I loved Halloween. I loved the decor. Thanksgiving was fun. We didn't have a Thanksgiving themed house for the month, but it
was still
we decorated
pumpkins.
Early for Christmas.
We did.
Such a big no-no. And I love Christmas now. And the Boston trip that we had, that was so awesome. And this episode, I thought we'd have time to talk about all the other things. We spent most of it talking about the origins, the making of what you've brought to this show. But this year in review really is all about Booth Babe and all about you. It's been where the success comes from, where the drive, where as much as I love teaching and love that career path, and it's very fulfilling and fun for me. I enjoy going to work. I enjoy doing that job. I realize because I want to make sure I can bring the best, not just the best version of myself, but bring everything that you deserve to you. And I just know that this platform, that the network of people around me, the content creating career path is going to have such a higher ceiling, such a greater flexibility, so many more things. And I knew it doing all those flea market things when you helped show me how much I love art and how close art is to me in my world. And you've introduced me to things that I have known is out there. King Richard's Fair was such a stupid, silly day. I spent so much fucking money on kid shit, like Leviathan. And it was so important to do that because I only could do that because of you. And I can only experience these things. And I know that this is why I have to keep growing what this is, because this is where I know I can be successful. I can be the best version of me, and I can provide the best for you, because this is my future. This podcast and what this past year has been and meant for me is, wow. I mean, yeah, I'm at a loss for words.
I'm very glad I'm not on camera right now.
When we get to that point, we will someday. Wow. My year with you, my year in review, ever-changing vibe, episode 89, the New Year special. Any last things?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy freaking New Year. Love you.